YouTube screen's just loading up here. All right. I think we are good to go.
We're good to go. All right. I'd like to call to order the May 5th, 2020 Plan Commission meeting. It's 6:03 p.m. Pledge of Allegiance.
Second, get the flag up here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
of the United States of America
and
and
to the
republic
republic
for which it stands, one nation,
under
under
God,
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Statement of public notice. This meeting has been posted. I'm sorry, I missed roll call. Attendance roll call. Adam, do you want to do that?
Aaron will go ahead and do that.
Oh, Aaron's on here. All right.
Commissioner Groff,
Here.
Commissioner Oliver,
Here.
Alderman Kubaki,
Here.
Mayor Petfalski,
Here.
Commissioner Jocks,
Here,
Commissioner Buckmaster,
Here.
Commissioner Bartlett,
Here.
Planner Trustee Butowski.
We have a quorum. Thank you. Statement of public notice. This meeting has been posted. Approval of the minutes from March 3rd and April 2nd.
move to approve.
Second.
All right, so that was Jerry moved, Kevin seconded. Any discussion or comments on the minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Minutes are unanimously approved. Public hearing.
Aaron, do you want to go ahead and read the notice or just read the topic?
We do have a second set of minutes.
I
We
actually,
did both.
I made a move to do them in a grow, so.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, public hearing for a renewal of a conditional use grant in accordance with section 14 of the City of Muskego zoning ordinance for Payne and Dolan for the purpose of continued mining and processing of sand and gravel and to the extension of use of an asphalt plant on Crowbar Road.
And from the planning side, as part of the notice of this meeting, we did note that the public was allowed to voice any comments or concerns to a central email address or to a planning department phone number. For Payne and Dolan, we did not receive any comments either via phone or via email for this hearing, which is not uncommon with past years. Just to kind of give you a little background on this item, this is one that comes in front of the Plan Commission each year. And we do this in an effort to make sure that the operations are in line with, what the Plan Commission has previously approved. Payne and Dolan has been a good neighbor, at least in recent years. They don't have any specific plans for nighttime operations that they've alerted us to, but if they do need any, they have a pretty good process for routing trucks to notify neighbors. So we haven't received any issues, as well as we haven't received any comments.
Okay. I have not received any comments as well, so I will declare this public hearing closed. Moving on to consent business. Could I have a motion to approve consent business?
Move to approve.
Second.
Jerry moved, Commissioner Buckmaster seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Passes unanimously. Moving on to new business for consideration. Resolution PC 21-2020.
Excuse me, should we read the consent items into the record?
Do we typically? I'm not sure how you normally do it. I'm new here.
Yeah, We have, I think, and I guess we still can, just in case any of those members are watching in the public, I guess they can kind of know. If Aaron wanted, maybe Aaron can go through those consent items.
Sure. We have resolution PC 018-2020, renewal of the conditional use grant for continued mining and processing of sand and gravel for Payne and Dolan on Crowbar Road. Resolution PC 026-2020, approval of a second garden shed structure for Lynn Zarek on Test Corners Drive. PC 027-2020, approval of a mother-in-law unit for the Lo Cicero property on Tans Drive. Resolution PC 028-2020, approval of a metal accessory structure for Todd Turowski on Parker Drive. And resolution PC 029-2020, approval of a second accessory structure for Anthony Vella and Susan Romano on Muskego Drive.
Thank you, Aaron. All right, so we already approved those. Those, just to read those into the record. Going to move on to new business for consideration, resolution PC 021-2020.
Move to approve.
Second,
Who was the second on that one? I missed it.
Evan.
Dylan. I was Rick.
All right.
All right. I can, I'm going to share the image of one of the renderings of one of the buildings, and I'll kind of just pan through some random images as I kind of go through some of the highlights of this project. So let's get that up here first. Okay, sorry, I had it up, but it wasn't showing up the way I wanted to. So just take a second here. But in general, this project was before the Plan Commission and ultimately the Common Council a few months ago. When they previously were in front of the Plan Commission, the members, when they were previously in front of the Plan Commission, there was a rezoning request that was in front of the Plan Commission. Since that time, the rezoning request was denied, and there was an old rezoning approval that was out there that allowed a total of 16 units instead of the 18 that was originally requested. So the proposal you see in front of you is the new proposal for the developer. Since they no longer need a rezoning, since they're using the old zoning that was previously granted by a previous developer for this site, they're proposing those 16 units, which are a total of 8 2-unit buildings. So they are proposing condo buildings. They are ranch style buildings. The buildings will not have a basement. And I'm going to pull up one of the drawings for you here in a second. You'll see. As far as the design goes for the site, the overall site is designed with a new public road stemming off of Janesville Road. And on that road then will be the 8 buildings. Each of the buildings will have one of 2 unit styles. One of the unit styles has a front entry and a side entry garage. The other unit style has 2 front entry garages, kind of a replicated design, and the other one is a little bit different, where the front and the side entry give 2 different architectural styles. They are proposing to meet all setbacks and offsets for this development. As part of it, the engineering department has been reviewing the engineering work very extensively. There have been past concerns brought up from the neighbors about drainage. So that's one thing that's been paid very close attention to. And their design team is very confident that, what they're doing with this development will definitely not hinder drainage in the area and will hopefully help some of the existing issues. Now, there are some issues off-site that this site has nothing to do with, and obviously those can't really be changed, but they will be improving anything that they can on their side. Their stormwater management will make sure that the water leaves the site at a cleaner rate and hopefully a slower rate. So things should actually be better when it comes to drainage when this project is done. They are showing quite a bit of landscaping around the foundation of each of the buildings, street trees along the road, and then some various landscaping on the perimeter of the property. As far as the site layout goes, they are also showing some retaining walls in the, would be the southeast corner of the site. That portion of the site would actually be sunk in on their site, so the neighbors would be higher and the development would be lower into the ground. So once again, less effect on drainage. As part of this, there's also a commercial lot that's being severed off in the front that currently is used as access for the former DeWinter Eye Care building and the building that currently contains Pop's Kettle Corn. They've worked with that landowner and they've had some preliminary talks, and they said that they are willing to sell or work out some kind of deal with those neighbors so that neighbor can use that outlot to help keep their commercial access. So that commercial site would use this new public road as one of their 2 access points. That was something very important to these businesses so that they didn't lose their current access. As far as the building design goes, like I've mentioned, they have a fair amount of masonry. Normally the design guides talk about having 50% masonry on all 4 sides. There are some calculations provided in the packet regarding the exact calculations of masonry. Some of the sides are a little bit low. So the developer has agreed to increase those to be at least 50% on all sides. Some of the sides are higher already. But overall, the design, they're nice buildings. They have a variety of materials between siding, some stonework, some shake, decorative shake on some of the peak areas. So, as far as the buildings go, it's definitely something that I think would fit in to the city and the community that we've kind of seen and what the city's used to for newer condo developments. And they have a pretty wide range of color palettes they've proposed. There were so many color options, we didn't include them in the packet, but they're all very natural, palatable, nothing out of the ordinary. There's not any bright purples or lime greens or anything. It's very normal earth tony kind of colors. They just have a variety of color palettes to choose from depending on what a buyer might want with these units. There are some units that have a partial exposure on them just because of the natural terrain of the site. So what they have agreed to do in those scenarios is they're going to lower the masonry, keep the masonry where it is, but also drop it down to the natural grade. So those sides will inherently have more masonry to them also, to give it a nice decorative look, especially since some of the backs face some of the neighbors. So you could see one of the drawings is on there now. There's some side views that if you scan through the packet, I'm going to pull up the front view. This is the front view of the other building. They're calling the building a juniper and a cedar layout. They originally had a third option for layout, but just for architectural aesthetics, since the third design, didn't have a few features, they simplified it and brought in just 2 different designs, which I think works well because that way we kind of know which buildings will have which layouts and allows them to plan the site a little bit better. But like I said, the units definitely have some character with architectural features and dormers and brick banding and things like that. I think this is something that is very up to the level of par of what we've seen for some other more recent condo developments. I think it will be a nice addition to the city. And I think it will fit well with the surrounding area too, as it's not going to be something that's going to stand out like it doesn't seem appropriate. Overall, there also is a condo plat that's part of this proposal. Being in nature that it's a condominium development, they have to have a condo plat. There's not really a lot that the Plan Commission has to look at for condo plats. There is some technical review engineering staff will look at just to make sure certain state statutes and things like that are followed. But that's really the biggest part about that. What I'm going to do is I am going to stop sharing the screen here, and I am going to bring one of the development team members over to the discussion area just to see if they have anything they want to add. So just bear with me for 1 second here. And tonight I'm doing this for all the different proposals. I want to make sure that the applicants have the ability to add something if they need to. Sam, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
So this is Sam. He's part of the development team. So Sam, is there anything that you'd want to add for this proposal here? Or anything, clear up anything that I may have missed?
I think that's a really, really good summary. I think that's really the main things where we've got ample open space. We've got 53% open, 53% more open space than the minimums. And it fits within the existing zoning, and we think it's going to be very additive to the neighborhood, and it's going to be a really attractive project going forward. So we're really excited about it, and we're really proud of the designs, to be honest.
Sam, how many square feet are these units and how many bedrooms?
Yes, these units are going to be. That's a great question. So these units are fairly standard. And I'm trying to find it here.
Because I couldn't see any floor plans or anything in the packet.
Oh, and I apologize for that. I'm pulling it up right now. So generally, I think these are going to be, trying to get the exact square footage here. I'll throw it over to, can I throw it over to my colleague, Ed Woodland here?
Yeah, give me a minute. I can bring Ed over. Yeah, okay, so just give Ed 1 second. He should be able to join also. Hey, Ed, are you there? Are you there, Ed?
I am, Adam. How are you tonight?
Hi, good. Sam had a few questions he thought you could maybe help fill in here for us.
Yeah, just a couple of things. One, I want to clarify one thing too that you had mentioned, Adam. I thought you had said that they will not be built on basements. They will. The homes will be built on basements. The houses are all standard 2 bedrooms, and then we will offer to finish a 3rd bedroom or potentially a 4th bedroom or additional space in the basement if a customer would want to do that.
Thank you. And square footage above ground?
Bear with me 1 second. They're going to range from just under 1,600 square feet to about 1,800 square feet. And then if we would finish any additional space in the bed in the basement, that would be additional.
Gotcha. Thank you. Projected dig date.
We'd like to be started by the end of the summer to start our development work and be building homes next spring.
Yeah, one thing to comment, their engineering, since they kind of were in the process with their previous version of this with the additional units that they didn't get approved with the rezoning. So their engineering is very far along. I think it's almost wrapped up, for lack of a better term. It's very near being completed. So they're a little further along at this point just because of their rezoning process they went through previously. So they're probably more poised to act quickly than some other projects just because of that homework they've already done.
I just have one question, I guess, if I may. The water, have they done a soil boring test to determine where the water level is out there?
Yeah, we do have soil tests that I have in our files, and I know our engineering department has recently been forwarded that to make sure that their designs work with that. They will have to make sure that their lowest floor, meets the 2-foot separation. That's something that we've kind of talked about with their design engineer previously, and I know that our engineering department is in the process of reviewing those results, I believe.
Okay, yeah, I just remember from the previous meetings and public comment, every public comment that came back said that they had some water and stormwater issues out there, and led me to believe maybe there's a water table issue as well. But as long as they're on that and we're talking basements, just wanted to bring it up. I personally think the development is right in line with where we were headed in the previous meetings. 16 is kind of the number that seems to be appropriate here, and so I'm in support of this.
Yeah, this is Chris. I would agree with Jeremy. I echo his statements and would support this.
Anything else the developer wants to add, or any other comments from any commissioners?
This is Ed Woodland again from Home Path Financial. Just echoing what Adam said, we're fairly far along on our engineering plans, and we believe we've addressed any drainage concerns from our property to the adjacent properties. There are 2 large retention ponds on our site, which we will maintain. And we think with our development and all the infrastructure that's going to go in, we'll actually probably have a positive impact on any surrounding areas. I don't think we can solve everybody's problem on their own property, but we think our work will certainly help them a little bit.
Oh, and Adam had pointed out to me earlier that, you know, this site is lower than the adjoining property owners. So
Right.
if anything, it's not going to, I mean, physics are involved here. You can't be dumping water off into theirs for the most part. So it may assist with their problems.
Correct.
And I know there's been some talk between the development team and the city where the stormwater exits is where the stormwater naturally went on this site, which is kind of on a southwest part of the property. There's like a drainage way there that needs just like a little bit of TLC and cleanup. And I know between our public works and their development team already kind of mutually talked about working together, because some of it's on their lot, some of it's on a city lot. There's already plans to kind of help that outlet to make sure that continues in a very positive, beneficial way. And one other thing I wanted to mention, which will tie into the next Plan Commission item also, is as part of this, they are extending water and sewer into this development. So it will be part of the city system, as well as they are connecting a water loop to a small sliver of land, which they're purchasing from an adjoining owner that's on the southwest part of the site, which is part of the next Plan Commission CSM item. But as part of that water connection too, that's a nice amenity that will help connect the city's water system as we try to avoid dead ends. And this will help tie a loop area that was previously a dead end, which can lead to poor water quality sometimes. So this will be a nice benefit there too.
All right. Any other comments? All right, hearing none. Aaron, do you want to do a roll call vote on this for approval? It's just easier than everyone blurting out on these video ones.
Commissioner Graff,
Approved.
Commissioner Oliver,
Oh, looks like we lost him.
Commissioner.
Yeah.
Okay, then Alderman Kubaki,
Yes.
Mayor Petfelsky,
Aye.
Commissioner Jocks,
Aye.
Commissioner Buckmaster,
Aye.
Commissioner Bartlett,
Aye.
and
Is there a way to try to contact Commissioner Oliver to?
Yeah, I'm gonna see.
he's not on.
I'll say, Aaron, yeah, would you have the ability maybe to just, if you want to go on mute and see if you can get a hold of him?
Sure.
Well, this is Cinco de Mayo, and he's right across the street from Tres Locos.
There's a party going on in the other room.
Just saying.
That's what he said, a Zoom party.
I double check to make sure I don't have like an email or anything from him, which I don't. But yeah, Aaron, if you wouldn't mind maybe muting and just seeing if you can try to get a hold of him in any form.
Okay, 1 second.
And then if we can kind of continue and I can,
Yeah, if he has any comments to add to this, we'll have to go back to it just so we have his comments for the record.
sure.
So moving on to resolution PC 022, well, actually backing up. Well, it's already, the last one I guess will be approved without, but we'll go back to it when he does join the meeting. Resolution PC 022-2020, approval of certified survey map near St. Leonard's Drive for home.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. This item, like I said, ties to the last item. This is just a separate certified survey map. This certified survey map is there to facilitate that water main that we talked about. So they're purchasing a strip of land from St. Leonard's. They're developing some land that previously was kind of in ownership, and they're going to establish proper easements for the water main. And then proposal is to offer these lands to the adjacent homeowners. If they wouldn't want it, it would remain as an outlot, but I would think most people would probably want these little extra chunks of land since I think most of the neighbors use them right now. So I really look at this as more of a cleanup opportunity here. Hey, Aaron, we're good. I think Mark is back on. Mark, can you hear us?
Yeah, my whole internet went down for some reason. I don't know what happened there.
All right.
Did you have any comments on the last resolution? We pretty much completed comments from the rest of the commissioners, but is there anything you wanted to add?
I lost probably the last 6, 7 minutes, so I'm not sure exactly what, I had nothing to add at this point, Rick.
And then as far as the vote, do you want us to recap what you might missed, or we realized you were missing when we went and did our roll call vote at that point. So,
Yeah, I didn't touch anything. All of a sudden, everything froze up, all the screens froze, and then it just, internet went dead. So, yeah, you just voted for the building as shown.
yes, it was so far it's well, unanimous so far. We were just waiting on your vote on that one, but if
Make
you
it
want Mark to
unanimous.
make-
It's a yes for me.
okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, Sam and Ed. I'm gonna get you guys off here now. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
And then we're back to 022 right now?
Yes,
Okay.
and for the record, the 021 did pass unanimously.
Yeah, I think the only, I can't remember his name, but he was an older gentleman.
So is there
He was the only guy I
any
recognized.
questions or comments on this, on the certified survey map? Hearing none. Aaron, can you do a roll call vote?
Commissioner Graff,
Aye.
Commissioner Oliver,
All right.
Alderman Kubaki,
Yes,
Mayor Petfalski,
Aye.
Commissioner Jocks,
Technology, gotta love it.
Commissioner Buckmaster,
Aye.
Commissioner Bartlett,
Aye.
Did we
Well-
lose Jerry and?
Let's see here. You know what? I think Jerry, give me 1 second here. I think I figured out what happened. The system's being a little goofy, but I think I got it. Jerry, let's see here.
Is Caroline now?
he's an attendee, Adam.
Yep. Give me 1 second here. The system's being goofy. I clicked on one name, but it didn't move the right person. So we'll give this another try here.
Chris is strip shot.
There you go.
That's Jerry.
Sorry about that. Yeah, sorry. We haven't used this whole switching thing as much, and it's not always moving the right person back and forth. So I apologize for that, but I think we're good. And then we'll just.
And did Mark drop off again?
Yeah, because he is not in the attendee. So I wonder if he's having internet issues.
I don't know, but before when you were trying to let those two gentlemen go, my screen went to just Ed's and I heard whatever was going on at his house.
Yeah. Sorry about any confusion there. Like I said, yeah. I think like Mark's coming back on. So let's give Mark a
Yep.
minute.
And back on again.
Okay.
So is it something on my end, you think, or because I'm not touching anything and it just goes dead?
It's anyone's guess. Could be on your end or it could be from the switching in and out of participants. So it's
Okay.
one of them. I'm not sure, Mark, did you hear the discussion on, or there was no internal discussion, but Adam's recap of 022, the certified survey map?
I didn't hear the recap of the survey map just after the vote. No.
It's basically a little cleanup. It's just south of that last item for cobblestone that we mentioned. It's a gap in the land description that St. Leonard Church is going to be selling potentially to the developer. And as part of it, they're going to run a water main through there, establish the proper easements, and then give the land to the adjacent owners if they're willing and able to take it. So it's kind of just, I look at it as a cleanup document. Really.
Okay, Adam, you're kind of coming in and out, so I'm not sure if it's your speaker or. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, now I can hear you.
I'm going to mute everyone else just in case that's causing any kind of problem here real quick. But yeah, it's just kind of a cleanup document that's going to be for a water main extension with water main easement. And then the adjacent land is going to go to the adjacent owners. It's kind of cleaning up a gap that was in the parcel mapping that's part of that previous development. Did you hear that okay?
I heard it okay.
Okay.
You heard okay, Mark? I'm sorry.
Yes, I heard that fine.
Perfect. Okay. So any other questions?
I do not.
All right. Now, Aaron, can you do a roll call vote? Sorry.
All right. Should I do them all or just Commissioner Jocks?
Commissioner Jackson, Commissioner Oliver, I don't believe made it, did they?
Oliver, yes. Jocks, no.
I'm a yes.
Okay. All right. PC 022 passes unanimously. Moving on to PC 030-2020. Conceptual
Move to
review.
approve.
Second.
Let me do this. I'm going to bring over the applicant in case he would want to add anything. So give me 1 second here. His name is Mark, so he'll be over in a second. So I'll kind of just go ahead and get started. So this proposal is for a conceptual review. And as the Plan Commission may remember, conceptual reviews don't have a formal resolution. They don't get a formal yes or no. It's really just an active discussion amongst everybody to really just get some feedback. So this way the applicant can determine, do they want to go forward with this project? Do they not? That's really what it comes down to. So hopefully you guys looked at the packet. If not, we'll definitely highlight some features here. They're looking at a site right now that is kind of between Stars Dance Studio and Fox Point Church, which is located near Racine Avenue in Tanz in the northwestern part of the city. This site right now is a site that kind of was planned closer to the road to have a possible future like office building. And the proposal that's in front of us tonight, the concept is really the back part of that property, which is actually an old landfill site. So there's very limited uses that can happen in some of these landfill areas. Doesn't mean nothing can happen there, but things like traditional basements and whatnot aren't allowable. And the DNR is heavily involved on what can happen in some of these areas. So like, for example, a lot of the landfills under the church parking lot is, so just to kind of show you some of the passive uses that can happen in these areas. The proposal here is for some storage units. The owner of these, Mark Worley, he currently has a facility, and I believe it's Waterford, but he could clarify that, that currently does have some storage units, and he's looking at building some similar types of units, and there's some pictures of the proposal in the packet. His plan would be in general to fence the area with a 6-foot tall fence, like a vinyl fence. And then he would start with one building, which would be closest to a driveway and a gate to get into the fenced area. He's proposing an asphalt driveway off of the existing cross access that is throughout the site right now. There's 2 access points, one on Racine and one on Tanz. And those access points right now have an easement over them. So he would access via that easement. And then his patrons would drive up the paved driveway, enter through the solid gate. Then they would enter his fenced area, which he is requesting or hopeful that could be gravel. And his first building would be a little office and house the security equipment and stuff like that. And there, I believe, would also be some storage in there. And then he would want to build a handful, I think it's 5 additional buildings throughout the site. I know he did have a call with me today, and he is proposing to change up based upon some of the comments we had in the supplement, change up a little bit of the layout to try to minimize the buildings. Some of the comments, if you looked in the Plan Commission supplement, that, we had a big list of things the Plan Commission should kind of think about. A big one being architecture. Since these buildings are a little bit taller, the question is, how will this architecture look? How will it fit in the area? It doesn't meet our normal architectural requirements. Now, part of the building is covered with a fence. Maybe that has a bearing on the Plan Commission's decision. Maybe it doesn't. So that's something that may want to be talked about, but this isn't a design guide area. Even though it is set back from the road a bit, it is on a higher part of the site. So being on a higher part of the site, it is kind of set on a little bit of a pedestal that things that are on it might even be a little more visible just because of the nature of the site being a little bit higher. Even though you have a fence, 6-foot fence only covers so much. And the thought would be there would be outdoor storage allowed also. The outdoor storage would basically be where the buildings are until the buildings get built. And once the buildings get built, the only outdoor storage would be in between each building. And there wouldn't just be like kind of littered with vehicles outside, because since this is going to be geared more towards RVs and boats and trailers and stuff, they need to make sure they have enough room for maneuverability. One thing the applicant brought up to me. As far as, you know, the rest of the site goes, like I said, they're showing a solid fence. They're talking about stormwater being handled in a stormwater pond that's on the lot next door, since the owner of this site that the developer's working with, he originally owned that other site too, or was all involved in the split of that site. The way the stormwater was worked out is this site has the ability to use that site stormwater, which isn't uncommon in a stormwater agreement. And obviously that would all be reviewed by engineering. Let's see here. He is also talking about some of the things the plan commission may want to talk about is, yeah, you know, how does this overall use affect the neighborhood? Does it or doesn't it? You know, is this the type of use we want to see in this gateway area, and how does it work with uses around it? You know, if they would have any kind of lighting, how does that impact or not impact what's going on around there? You know, lighting can be done in a lot of very positive ways where it doesn't cause a problem to neighbors. I'm just really not exactly sure of all his lighting needs yet. Some of the other things the plan commission may want to talk about is, yeah, you know, the building design, building architecture, or materials, any of those. But I know, like I said, the applicant can talk in a minute about, he had some kind of thoughts on moving some things around a little bit to try to minimize the size and scale of the buildings and to minimize how much of the buildings you see. So let's see here. Hey, Mark, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Is there anything you'd like to kind of add to the plan commission?
Yeah, so I talked with Adam. Oh, hi. Thank you, everyone, for allowing me to come before you tonight. So I had a chance to talk to Adam today about possibly moving some buildings to minimize the visibility of the buildings at all. And what I talked with Adam about doing is actually, instead of doing the 3 40-foot buildings on the north property line, the north side of the site, actually rotating those to the east side of the site and putting the smaller 30 by 60 building that would house the office. That would allow me to pull that building back an additional 10 feet from the fence. So that building would be actually 20 feet off the fence. The hope with that, when you're looking at the site, is you wouldn't actually see the building at all. You'd only see the roof lines. Then, excuse me, sorry. We would have the 6 buildings around the east and west side of the site, but also by moving that 30-foot building to the north property line, I'd be able to move the west 40-foot buildings back an additional 10 to 15 feet off of the fence, where you wouldn't really see those buildings except for the roof line from Janesville. So the hope of moving these buildings around and shifting things a little bit is that the fence is going to give you basically complete coverage where you won't see anything except the roofs of the buildings. While we're building the buildings, we're going to start with hopefully get 1 building done this year if time allots. If not, we're just going to go straight outdoor storage this year. Outdoor storage will only be where the buildings are currently on the design. There will be no outdoor storage in the middle of the site at all. So basically you'd have a 40-foot strip all the way around where outdoor storage could be done, except for where the entrance to the site is off the driveway. And then the whole open center of the site will be for people to maneuver their vehicles in. So as Adam said, I currently, I built and run a storage facility down in Waterford. One of the big requests that I get that I can't take care of in Waterford, just because it's all indoor storage, is outdoor storage. So that's one of the big reasons I'm actually bringing this forward. I know there's a huge demand for it. I get at least 3 calls a week for outdoor storage, and I'm shipping them all over the place to other areas, but we just don't have enough outdoor storage for boats, campers, RVs, things like that. So that's why I'm proposing to do this project. I'm working with Tim Lynch, who actually designed the site for Stars Dance Academy. Tim has worked with you guys before. So Tim and his partners actually own this site. Tim designed my site down in Waterford, did an excellent job. So he brought this to me to see if it's something I'd be interested in. And I'm bringing it to you as a proposal.
Yeah, and one other thing, I just kind of put the plan here. I wanted to mention a couple things that the plan commission should probably talk about that will help give Mark some direction. Is, you know, one big question that, you know, we came up with is typically we like to see paving on sites, especially from the standpoint of dust control and things like that. It's also a concern sometimes because of site markings. Now, site markings aren't probably as big of a concern here, given the overall design of the site. But, you know, just dust control and things like that are one thing that may want to be looked at by the plan commission. There have been 1 or 2 cases that I can think of where places kind of more deeper in the industrial park did have enclosed outdoor storage. And I think there was 1 or 2 of those that maybe were allowed to have gravel. I think the areas that were quite a bit smaller and they were in the middle of the industrial park. So that may have a little bit different of a bearing. The other thing to mention is per the zoning, this use would require a conditional use grant. So if it does go forward, there would be a public hearing based on the B2 zoning for this, which would involve neighbor input within 3 feet.
And if I could add a couple things about the using gravel. So at my site in Waterford, what we've discovered is to try to get traction on an asphalt parking lot when you're dealing with these types of, like when you're dealing with RVs, big boats, things like that, moving in and out, you can't really get good traction on asphalt without dumping a lot of salt. The problem with dumping a lot of salt is it's all going to end up in the bioretention pond. So the hope is if we leave the site stone and we allow for drainage of that site to the bioretention pond, and we will have stormwater drains going all to one main drain and into the pond as well. The hope is we won't need to use a lot of salt, which will cut down on salt, infiltrating into the pond. The other reason I really want to stay with stone with this is because this is over an old landfill site. I'm a little nervous about the DNR. I have only had very basic conversations with them. I'm hoping the DNR will be more open to the idea versus putting a solid cap on the dump site.
I also just brought over Tim Lynch. I saw he was in the other room, and I know Tim is involved in this project. I don't know if Tim had anything to add either.
Yes, can you hear me? Ed, can you hear me?
Yes, Tim.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. Yeah, the other thing I wanted to mention about the gravel surface from an engineering standpoint is there's a real challenge with this being a gravel pit or to being an old dump site is we've got about, based on records, about 40 to 50 feet of old material on there. And in order to put a hard paved surface on this that doesn't crack up is extremely costly. Includes adding geogrid and very, very thick gravel that won't shift in order to get a hard surface that's not going to fail very quickly. So that's part of the reason we really think that gravel in this that can be shaped, and as it collapses or things happen back in that area can easily be repaired, makes a lot of sense from a standpoint of maintenance and how do you make this site work as an ongoing facility that doesn't have a hard asphalt that is rigid and will crack based on the underlying subsoils. That's all I had at that point.
Just a couple comments. I'm familiar with their site in Waterford, and it's well maintained. It's a very neat operation he has there. I believe that there are certain applications that can be put on gravel to minimize any dust. Is that correct?
I haven't had that problem in Waterford. It's something I can look into, but again, most of those applications are going to be salt-based is my understanding. And you're going to end up killing a lot of your vegetation in the bioretention pond if you end up adding a lot of salt to the site. That's my fear with it. So at my site in Waterford, we actually have a bioretention pond. And one of the things that we did out there, we have a compacted stone driveway there as well. And we specifically got permission to put that in and they asked us not to put a lot of salt in it because there's a lot of native vegetation that the DNR requires in those bioretention ponds. And if we have to put a lot of salt on the site, you end up killing that vegetation. You actually hurt the bioretention pond significantly.
Okay, thank you.
But that's my understanding is the applications you would put on are salt-based. And I'm willing to do that if that's what you want us to do. But from what I've seen in the Waterford site, and that's a very windy area out there on Highway 164, we really don't have a dust problem. We used a very finely compacted rock, and it doesn't seem to really blow around much. And I'm out there, right now I'm out there daily just doing things as I'm off with the COVID situation. And I haven't seen really any blowing of any kind.
So Mark, go on, Dave.
Since there are, it sounds like there are larger vehicles, RVs, boats, what kind of travel or traffic would you have at this site?
So it's going to be exactly the same clientele I have at my Waterford site. I deal specifically in RVs, travel trailers, boats. I have a lot of people that have hobby shops where they actually tinker with their cars in my units. I'd say on average, I probably have 10 to 12 people come and go per day, average.
And how
Oh,
many
in
units
the
are
in
there?
the winter, that goes down significantly. People usually just store and leave things. I'm talking about the summer time frame. Like now, I was out there most of the day today, and I'd say about 10 cars came and went.
So Mark, one of your comments about was traction, and your comment is that you have your clientele are going to be a lot of RVs and boats. How much traffic of RV and boats do you have at the same time you would need to worry about traction in winter? Aren't those typically moving in and out in spring, summer, and fall?
Yeah, I have some. So what I have is people that will take their RVs south and they'll pick them up and bring them back during snow season. So they'll actually be moving them kind of on the edges of snow. And what I find is asphalt is not great for traction with these types of vehicles. It just doesn't work well. They have a tendency to slide. And then to boot on that, we have our hill entryway. So the site is raised, like Adam said. So the hill itself is going to be asphalt and it's going to be salted because that's the only way we're going to be able to get those vehicles up there. But once they're up there, for the most part, they're coming and going a lot in the summer, but I do have some that move during seasonal snowfall.
Hey, Mark, so I don't really have an issue with the intended use, but so I kind of want to shift over to Hillendale, and you're abutting RS2 housing area, very vocal. You will expect, I can count 3 houses that will definitely be at the CUG hearing. And one over across on the west side of Racine Avenue. So at some point, the lighting, I'm looking at just some of the stuff or the views from Tans Drive, and I don't see one from, a proposed one from Hillendale, but, lighting, that's going to be
So I can give you guys exactly how the lighting is going to lay out on the site as it's proposed. With the 7 buildings, all light will be facing into the center to the U of the site. No light will be going out towards the roads in any direction. So there'll be 3 lights on the 60-foot building. There'll be 1 light on each of the 40-foot buildings. So when you're looking at it from Hillendale, Tans, or Janesville, you shouldn't see any light escaping the site, except for maybe small light from man doors. Man doors are required in these buildings by code. So there will be at least 1 man door per building. Most likely there'll be 2. There'll be small lights on those, but not the big driveway lights that are kind of like the spotlight type of lights. So the only place that you would actually have light escaping the property would be to the south side where there's a solid tree line already there. That's where that bioretention pond is.
And I'm less concerned about the west or the Racine Avenue area, even the Tans Drive. It's more the Hillendale. And then would you, do you have a plan that would incorporate some sort of buffering, or if plan was to support this and we wanted some, like a berm or some sort of buffering? I'm more concerned about the Hillendale side. I'm not sure if that would fit into your plan.
So what we did in Waterford, they had a similar concern, and we actually planted the entire perimeter of the site with small cedar trees. And as those grow up, they're going to give you complete block of the site. That, coupled with the 6-foot solid fence on the Hillendale side, you shouldn't really have a lot. You won't have any light escaping to their side, and you should get blockage from everything. They should never see a car come and go, because they're going to be facing the back of 3 buildings with no doors.
Okay, and then the last comment I have for right now is did I miss the hours of operation?
So typically with these types of storage facilities, and the one that's right there on Tans Drive currently, they have gated access, so there'll be a security gate. People can come and go whenever they need to get to their things. I usually only run the office by appointment only. So as I'm showing units or if I'm checking people in, I'll be there, but I'm not, there won't be anybody on site at any point without a phone call ahead.
So I guess my question is more this. So because of and again, it's more toward Hillendale, they're, 12 o'clock at night, and some guy's backing up his trailer into the storage facility. I would not support that.
Okay. And what I can do, so like I said, once we build the buildings in that particular area on site, there won't be outdoor storage any longer, except for one space between the buildings. So I could commit to building the buildings on that side second, after the building that'll house the office and the mechanicals.
Well, I guess
So
the one question you're going to have to address though is the noise. So at what point do you not have the beeping going on at 2 a.m.? I mean, we pretty much tightened that up, even deliveries at Walmart and even throughout the Moreland quarter, we've got set timeframes where these types of ambient noise can happen, right? So,
Yes.
So I guess the question is, I don't want to suggest to you how to do it, but that will come up. And that in my opinion, what would be a hurdle you would probably have to somehow overcome.
I'm more than happy to put in. So I have a contract for each person that I check in currently in Waterford. I'm more than happy to put in a time constraint in those contracts for any vehicle that makes noise.
Or at least any side, right? I mean, so at least if something did happen in your proposal, if there was some remedy that, right, the city could write into a BSO that said, hey, if these things happen, and they're going against your wishes even, right?
Right.
Then, we've got some push there. Okay.
I'm more than happy to do that, Chris.
That's all I have. Thank you.
One thing I wanted to mention too is, as far as lighting goes, the city has what I think are some pretty good lighting requirements, as far as, full cutoff fixtures are mandatory, 0-degree tilt fixtures are mandatory. So, the idea of having, your angled spotlight shining down, isn't allowable even as an option. So the way the lights have to cast, it's amazing how light technology can really shape an area where they want lighting. Obviously, yeah, if it's high enough, people are going to see it from down below, but lighting that's one of the things that's so manageable now more than it was 20 years ago. Technology's come a long way in that. One thing I think that maybe if there's any comments from the Plan Commission might be good for the owner, if there are any, is anything relating to materials or architecture design, just in the standpoint of, one thing I talked with him about was our normal design guide stuff, but I know this is a little bit different just given, the fencing and stuff, and just wanted to see if the Plan Commission had any feedback from Mark on that, or maybe there isn't.
Well, given that it's a raised site, and I know you can't see it from Racine Avenue, I'm assuming that you're gonna break up the long fence with some plantings and whatnot.
And there's currently trees growing on the perimeter of the site. So the site, it's raised and it has sharp slopes going down to the driveways below. There's currently trees growing all around the perimeter that won't be disturbed. And I'm more than happy to plant more trees to break that up. Like I said, I planted 800 cedars this week out in Waterford, so I'm very comfortable doing that.
This site is pretty viewable though from houses on up the hill from off of Racine though. That subdivision that's up there looking down on it, it's still gonna be very visible from there. I'm not against this type of business moving in that area. It is a gateway area of our community though. Having following our design guides, I stress that I don't want to back off those too much, specifically because of the area it's in. Visibility or not, I still think it's something we should follow.
I guess my only comment, maybe, well, there's twofold, and I guess it will architectural. So there's storage buildings now that are right across the road. They're all metal. They existed there for a long time. I believe another proposal came in for storage buildings, if I recall correctly, to the east of Fox River at one time. It was right along Hillendale.
Along Hillendale. Mm-hmm.
So this is actually set in a better spot. It's set up above. It's fairly screened from everywhere except, I agree, up above the hill on Racine. They can look down onto this. I guess what I'd like to see, and I don't know if you could see this sketch, but maybe something that kind of illustrates how that screening would work and if it'll actually screen the buildings. So is a 6-foot fence?
Yeah, and Adam and I actually talked about this today. I'm going to have, if we go forward with the project, if you guys are on board with us moving forward, at least to see if it's something that, you know, the community would allow, that you guys would vote for, I'm going to have an architect do a full site design, both from Racine and from TANS, what the site would look like when finished.
Yeah, I did mention exactly that, Jeremy. That's a great idea. Like, I talked to him about how I think we've seen more and more of those kind of cross-section site diagrams, which are really a great tool as long as you do it from the right spots and enough spots. So yeah, I think I agree. That's something that, you know, maybe from the Racine side, maybe it even does have to take into consideration the top of the hill, the roadway, you know, maybe it's showing a couple of different views in one shot. But yeah, that I think is a great idea too, to help.
And I tried to do that. I kind of gave you guys a rough sketch. I went out and measured. So I put fences where the fences would be. So kind of what you would see from TANS and Racine. Obviously, it was just a rough sketch, so you guys can get an idea of what we're talking about. And then adding trees to the front of that to break up just a big, you know, slate wall, plastic wall would definitely add to that as well. But we'll get that done for you guys if you are on board with the idea.
You may want to include something that that shows from Hillendale as well, to aid those neighbors there.
There is no, I don't think you'll see it at all from Hillendale, the way it's set up. The only place that you may see from Hillendale, there's a small 20 foot access that goes up that direction. All you would really see is a little bit of the fencing and maybe some trees in front of it. But from the house standpoint, there's no visibility from Hillendale.
Yeah, what Mark mentions, the 20 area, the sanitary sewer connects for those properties, connects through that area. And so there was, as that was constructed for Stars, that was opened up a little bit. But otherwise, yeah, it's very heavily wooded.
Yeah, that'd be kind of nice to see though, that same drawing though, just to, because I don't know, it looks to me like you would see it from Hillendale, but maybe not.
Well, especially with those trees are going, a lot of those trees are going to be going away with our road design.
Because there is that road project going there, and if you counted the 5, 6, 7, 8, all the trees here that are going down, I don't know, we should just be clear that, because even after the comments we have here today, you face the additional hurdle of a hearing. So there may be other comments that come up at the hearing now that plan has to consider. So, and that tree area is not knowing what it is until after the Hillendale project. It's hard to say. So someone's going to get stuck with the screening. You know, I guess we should just not forget that.
And again, I'm more than happy to put in some natural landscaping to help block if necessary. That's not an issue. So we can definitely have the cross section, you know, our designs all done by an architect, so we could see it from Hillendale. But right now, what you're going to see from Hillendale is just trees. So it's kind of tough to guess what it's going to be without actually being able to see what it's going to look like when the trees are gone.
Adam, is there a way to overlay what we think, or at least what the city thinks will happen with the tree line there? Is it possible to try to put something in there?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing, you are going to lose some along the road, but I think that's going to be the least impact, because the area where you're losing them, there's trees behind them. I think the areas of concern, when you look at the aerial photography, which one thing that photography doesn't show is there is that swath cut in there they just mentioned, the sewer line went. That is one area that you really can't put landscaping on top of a sewer line or of a storm sewer line. So that one we'll have to see, kind of how their design relates to that. And I think, listen, maybe there is a view diagram that's done down that corridor, or maybe it's some kind of renderings even, maybe that takes a photo and kind of tries to Photoshop in this proposal behind the trees. Like I said, there will be some trees lost along Hillendale. I think that will be negligible in the big picture of what they're doing, because there are a bunch of trees. Now, as you go a little further north and are kind of looking from the northwest to the south, if you're looking from north on Hillendale, kind of looking southwest of this site, there is some trees right along Hillendale, but then that opens up a little bit. So if anything, it might be as you're coming southward on Hillendale towards the site, you might have some views. But once again, they can do some view diagrams and maybe some photo editing or something to try to take a look at that as part of the CUG project.
Okay. Yeah, because that as the developer, if you have that information and can address it, right away, your chances of success are probably much better with the residents in the area.
And I'll do that exact thing, Chris.
So,
Before
thank
we
you.
have before we have that public meeting, I'll make sure we have renderings and I'll make sure we address how it's going to affect the Hillendale neighbors.
Yeah. Otherwise, I agree with Jeremy. This looks is much better placing than the previous one on the east side of the Fox Church. So,
And
thank
one thing, Mark, we can offer to you that, we do this a lot of applicants, is if you wanted to be a little proactive and reach out to some of the neighbors on your own, because sometimes they can appreciate you doing that homework.
Okay.
We could facilitate in giving you like an Excel spreadsheet of who would be notified as part of a CUG process. So if that's something you do want to look at further, just reach out to staff, sometime, and we can help you with that.
And I will do that, Adam. Thank you.
And Mark, this is Mark Oliver. I am actually in the fence business. So my comments to you is with all the fences that I put in throughout the state, a lot of the neighbors, they want something other than that white plasticky looking fence. There are 12 other color options with the PVC. It's the best quality fence to put in, obviously. It's maintenance free, but there are other color choices. So if that becomes a thought process or a challenge, you may want to consider a different color for aesthetics rather than just a white solid fence. And they do come in 7 and 8 foot high if the height becomes an issue also for screening.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that.
You bet, Mark.
We got a lot of marks on here.
Any commissioners have any thoughts on the substrate or the pavement options of gravel? Is everyone okay with that? Is any comments on that we can give the petitioner?
I'm good with either. I've used storage facilities with both, and I don't know what's better. So
I think in this particular instance, because it's built on a landfill, because of the fact that the applicant is definitely correct. I'm certain they would want to put geotech fabric underneath that parking lot to keep it from failing. They're parking RVs on there. That's not a lightweight. So then they sit in a spot for a long time. So without geotech, it's probably going to be depressed. I think long-term maintenance of a pavement area over top of a former landfill isn't so great. And so I am really supportive of paving in pretty much any application, but in this particular one, I actually am good with gravel. I actually believe it, and it's never going to be seen. So I don't really have an issue with it.
I agree.
And thanks, Jeremy, thanks for that, actually, because that's exactly what I'm looking for. Just something kind of made into the minutes that when the next person comes forward and asks for it, not in these circumstances, we have a record of why this was allowed here and not. So I appreciate that. Any other comments that you want to give the petitioner so he can go back and do his homework? Or Mark or Tim, do you have any more comments you want to tell the commission?
I think we're good.
I want to thank everybody for your time.
Yep, I wanted to thank everybody for your time as well. Hopefully we'll be seeing you guys. I don't know if there's going to be a meeting in 2 months where Adam was trying to figure out if they were going to try to sandwich a meeting in or not. So maybe a couple months before I bring the official proposals to you guys. And I wanted to say congratulations to all the new board members that just got elected, and to Rick, congratulations. So
thank you. All right. All right. Thank you very much.
Say, Rick, I've got a conflict. I'm going to run.
Okay.
I'll see you next month.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay, bye.
One second here, just to move people around. What I'm going to do is move Mark and Tim off, and then I'm going to add Carolyn for the last item.
Where are the chips? Just wait.
All right. I'm moving Carolyn over to a panelist. She's part of the next project, so we can go ahead now.
All right. Resolution PC 031-2020, approval of a building site and operation plan amendment for Interstate Partners.
Move to approve.
Second.
Kevin's got it. We'll keep it consistent.
All right, so
Thank you.
this proposal that's in front of us is kind of a follow-up. This is for what we've all known as Interstate Spec Building Number 2. It's a larger industrial spec building that was built directly behind the Walmart facility. This building received Plan Commission approval pretty successfully, pretty easily last year, I believe it was. And one of the questions that came up is, as you guys are familiar with this area, there's a large berm that's built on the far east side of the site. The berm was installed as part of this whole Moreland Corridor East design area. It's a very, very large berm. It had a lot of landscaping. Since it's been there a while, some of the landscaping's got some nice mature size to it. But as some of these buildings have been built on this side of the berm, as there's houses on the east side of it, these buildings on the west here, some of the lots have been filled and graded, and the way they were built, some of these buildings are a little more visible than we originally thought. Now, the Plan Commission was okay with this building being visible. They actually did some site diagrams, like we just mentioned in the last project for this one. And the Plan Commission was comfortable with seeing, some upper portions of the building. We were pretty confident we didn't see any kind of truck traffic because of the heights and stuff and the view sheds. But one of the items was that staff was recommending more either raising the berm or more landscaping on the berm. And I think the Plan Commission agreed that raising the berm wasn't too practical, as you would jeopardize a lot of the existing plantings out there. So we wanted to make sure to go ahead and just do landscaping. And just to make sure there wasn't any question of staff approval versus Plan Commission, we wanted to make sure Plan Commission had their ability to weigh in on this. So the developer had their original proposal, which we had a few gaps in it. They then came to staff with I'll call it proposal number 2, or I think they call it B. That proposal had some additional landscaping, but not enough in staff's eyes. So our suggestion to them was to kind of go back to the drawing board and add a few more things and maybe a little bit of taller plantings. So what Interstate did is they came back, and I think is a pretty good solution. And if you look in your plan packet, there's 3 plans. It's the last of the 3 plans listed as C. That one shows all the additional new plantings that they're going to propose as part of this project. So they show in the diagram all of the existing trees in a more of a little faded, faint color, and all the new trees are a much brighter, bold color. And as part of the proposal, they are adding 8-foot tall trees, and they're adding 13 of them. And they are adding in areas that had some inherent gaps. So on the planning level, we definitely think that this was a good working effort. They took the original, they revised it, even revised it more, which I think shows very good effort on their part. And so they're back in front of you today. The only other thing to mention, which is not really a big Plan Commission thing, but they did have to relocate a transformer kind of in a landscape island closer to the building just for the way electrical worked out. As part of this, it's really not part of this review, but just to make you guys aware that we are going to require that this be screened fully with landscaping. The developers acknowledge this. There's a tenant looking at this building that's acknowledged this. So it's not really a big issue, but it is noted in the resolution that the transformer must be screened too, as we normally require on sites. Does anyone have any questions for me or for the applicant?
Are the trees conifers?
Yes, they are. I looked at them before. I definitely know they are. I don't have the exact species in front of me, but they had a couple different varieties proposed up there. But yeah, they are.
Okay.
They're all going to be 8 feet tall at time of planting, which is good. Normal sites, we usually say 6 at time of planting. They're choosing to go a little bit more, knowing that they want to have a purpose, which I think is a good solution.
Just reading on here, most of them are spruce, so they're all evergreen variety.
Okay.
And one thing is, if you were to go to the site today, yeah, you're going to see the top of the building, but you don't see it significantly, as these trees grow and fill in. Plus, if you do go out there in, let's just say July or August, not only does this berm fill out pretty nice, a lot of the backyards of the properties that are east of the berm have their own tall trees in the backyard. So when you look at the summer, it's a very different view than the winter. So that's even more beneficial in that time of the year. I think this will fill in some of the gaps next.
Yeah, I think it's a welcome addition. One of the advantages of just getting elected is I was walking that neighborhood a few months ago, and I know exactly where some of these houses were, and actually this came up at one of the houses I stopped at. So it's good timing, and yeah, I think it's welcome. Any other comments? All right, hearing none. Aaron, can you do a roll vote?
Commissioner Groff is not here. Commissioner Oliver,
Yes.
Alderman Kubaki,
Yes.
Mayor Petfalski,
Aye.
Commissioner Jocks,
Aye.
Commissioner Buckmaster,
Aye.
Commissioner Bartlett,
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you. Moving on, miscellaneous
Thank you.
business. Hearing none. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned at 7:13 p.m. Thanks, everyone.
Great, thank you.
Thank
Good night,
you.
everybody.
Good night.
Night.